Okay, so welcome everyone to today's webinar. This is our third Tuesday of the month complimentary webinar on just different topics that, are kind of juicy, relevant, and hopefully are useful for you. And as you are either building your business or building your own, working on personal development. So today's topic is the art of affirmations, which is really great. We just kind of did goal getters, get it done. And so affirmations are a really great piece of goal setting and actually goal fulfillment. So I'm excited to introduce this topic to everyone. So, we're going to start with, what are affirmations, and we're going to get more into that. But affirmations are all about being aware of your emotions, what you're experiencing. And so, it's a good idea even right now to check in with yourself and see what you might be feeling at this moment. Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling, confused? Are you feeling curious or daunted or, whatever it is? Or are you under stress or, having some anxiety? So whatever that is, just check in with yourself. So you kind of have a marker for, what you're feeling in what kind of moment and when an affirmation might be helpful for you. And if you like, you can certainly share in the group, in the chat, what you're experiencing. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michonne Williams, and I call myself an a lifestyle consultant because my purpose, my mission is really all about helping people have a life of having it all. So for me, that is in essence having more aliveness in your life than in my life. I'm also a luxury wine consultant, and I work with wines with people and people who love wines and want to create a business around wine. So that's why it's kind of like a twofer, luxury wine and a lifestyle consultant. So do you currently use affirmations? I'd love to hear from some of you. If you want to tap into the chat, you can say yes or no. You can also use the yes or no reaction tab, but it really would be great to see, who, here is already using affirmations. And if you want to go further, you can even share, how do you use your affirmations? Great. So what are affirmations? Affirmation is a positive statement used, maybe if you are working towards something, maybe if you're, trying to deal with a challenging thought or emotion. Affirmations are often used in this time. Affirmation as a word in and of itself just refers to the act of saying or showing that something is true. For example, people in the audience nodded their heads in affirmation, right? So it's showing that we are in agreement or something is true. Self-affirmation, which is what we're going to go over today, talks about that a little bit further, okay? So the official definition in the Webster Dictionary reads, the act of affirming one's own worthiness and value as an individual for beneficial effect, such as increasing one's confidence or raising self-esteem. So based on these definitions, do you feel that self-affirmations would benefit you? And how would you currently rate your own self-esteem? You can choose to share this or not. It could be a private reflection. But how would you currently rate your own self-esteem? So think about that for a moment and see, could you see yourself applying affirmations to an area of your life, whatever it might be, business, self reflection, self-worth, something, a goal that you're after. Can you see affirmations kind of being of benefit to you in any area of your life that you're working on right now or interested in right now? In general, we're pretty harsh on ourselves. Would you agree with that? And if you do, definitely give me a thumbs up or raise your hand because, I think that's what's almost the norm for most people is to be a little bit harder on themselves, sometimes more than they are on other people. So why is that? It's because we've created and accumulated these negative thoughts and core beliefs throughout our lives. You've had different kinds of experiences. You've had a different kind of assessment of that experience. You've created, lessons learned from these experiences. And what happens is, we start to just create different thought patterns around who we are in certain situations. They can also come from just your environment, right, in your upbringing. So if you had a particular kind of a parent that might have been more critical or harsh, then you might have picked up some of that as well. And the same goes the other way too. If you've got a parent that was a little bit more forgiving, that might be a quality that you pick up. But most often, the voices we hear the loudest are the voices that are more critical of ourselves. So these patterns of negative thinking develop early, right? And they become pathways in our brain that just kind of become an automatic answer for us when we're looking for answers. So, for example, if something happened at work that didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, you might be searching for, well, what happened in that situation? And in that situation, you might fall back on old patterns, old beliefs, old thoughts. For example, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. Oh, I did that thing again. Whatever that thing is that you have, we all have that. For me, it's definitely I fall back on I should have been better than that. I should have done that better. I should have been on top of that. So, that's my fallback. But the good news is that you can change those patterns. It just takes some practice. And I would bet that everyone here today or anyone tuning in are the kind of people who likes to practice these things. So our brains are really built to create information that is based on our personal interpretations of patterns and assumptions. When we have all the information or when we don't have all the information about something, we fill in the blanks based on past information or past ways of being or past, actions that we've taken. So usually this comes from what others have told us about ourselves or how we have interpreted other people's perceptions. So if you've had someone in your life who bullied you, abused you, or told you that you were not enough, those negative thoughts tend to stick. And that's the issue with assumptions. They're not always accurate, but they can save us. They get saved into our subconscious anyway, and sometimes they serve us, but a lot of times they're just a default way of thinking or being that doesn't always serve us in every situation. So negative thoughts and attitudes and feelings can create really, chronic issues in our body, chronic stress in the body. And this can have serious consequences. So they can cause imbalances in our hormones, they can cause, aches and pains in our body. They can just, create all, issues with our immune system, with our sleep patterns. So all those things are the effects of having chronic stress in the body, which can come from these negative thoughts. So we want to kind of do away with those. So, and affirmations is one of the ways, one of the techniques that we can use to help ourselves move away from chronic negative thoughts. Okay. And they work because of something called self-affirmation theory. So this is a theory that begins with the premise that people are motivated to maintain their integrity of themselves. There are people, will reflect on their strengths and their values when faced with tough challenges or to overcome a barrier. So in other words, affirmations help to protect the ego. People will seek out new favorable knowledge about themselves as a way of revising these pre-existing negative views of themselves. To seek self-affirmation, sometimes, check yourself if you've done this, sometimes people will post things to social media. This is something that, is very common in our culture, right? All of the pretty pictures on social media of how great our life is. It's great. It's great to share all those things. And they feed us in a lot of different ways. One of the ways is to, help feed our ego and our positive self-concept. So there's pros and cons to that, right? There's some pitfalls, but it also helps feed, that, oh yeah, I am doing well, or oh yeah, this is something good in my life, and you're getting affirmed for that in those times. But another way to do it that's, I think, more powerful and has more longevity is to self-affirm through self-affirmations. The development of the self-affirmation theory has led to neuroscientific research about how the brain is affected when we self-affirm in positive ways. So MRI scans show that when people practice self-affirmation, certain neural pathways are increased in the self-related information processing part of the brain. This means that those who practice self-affirmation, which is what we're doing today and practicing today, are able to effectively change the way that they process information about themselves and how we think. So it's a kind of a way to start to change your default thinking or to interrupt those patterns that have just been grooved into your brain all this time. Positive affirmations help us to respond in less defensive and resistant ways. So when we're presented with a threat, when you're practicing self-affirmations regularly, you start to replace responses that might not be as helpful with responses that are going to be more self-nurturing and beneficial to your body and to your mind, your responses. So this is better because, we're developing a better sense of ourselves. We're able to boost our self-esteem and again, our self-reliance, especially when we're dealing with some of those more challenging moments in our daily lives. And, we've all had challenges in the last year for sure. So affirmations are, again, a way to just soothe those responses. So some of you might have heard of a mantra, and if you've heard of a mantra, let me know. You can put that in the chat or you can use the yes function. But I just want to make a distinction between mantras and affirmations and also incantations, because Tony Robbins, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with Tony Robbins, he likes to use the word incantations. I have another mentor that I follow, which I love, all about brain training and transforming the way you think, on Dana Wilde. She likes to use the word mantras. And here, my other mentor, Jack Canfield, speaks about affirmations. So there is a bit of interchangeability there, but there are sometimes distinctions. So here, I want to just distinguish, what some people could call a mantra, which sometimes has more spiritual connotations to it, same with incantations, I would say. But, honestly, whatever feels more aligned with you, I think is fine. It is said that mantras are more reliant on sacred sounds, sacred verses, perhaps even chants. That could be a part of a mantra or incantation, whereas affirmations are described in the psychology dictionary as brief phrases repeated frequently and which are designed to encourage positive, happy feelings, thoughts, and attitudes. And what I would also add are results, because I think there's the positive thoughts and attitudes and beliefs, but sometimes we're using those to have a specific result as well. So we've covered a lot of information. So I want to take a moment now to just remind you that affirmations aren't supposed to be complicated. They definitely aren't meant to be stressful. They shouldn't be a chore. They're meant to make you feel good. And you know that you are creating an effective affirmation when it does feel good for you. So there are no like hard and fast rules, let's say, for creating affirmations, but I do have some very specific guidelines that I think will make your affirmations stronger, more powerful, supercharge your affirmations. So let's look at what those are. So the first thing you want to do, and this is what we touched on earlier, is you want to be aware of your thoughts and your feelings at any given moment, right? So oftentimes we go through our day, kind of saying things to ourselves that are not always nice. We might look at the mirror and have a judgment about the way we look. We might, send off an email and say, oh gosh, why did I say that? I wish I could pull it back, So we're judging ourselves by what we see in ourselves or what we're doing. And then we kind of just keep going in the day. We never address it, right? So those, tiny infractions of thought, let's say negative thoughts, they stay in there, they build, and they kind of keep adding to the grooves that we already have in our responses, the negative grooves that we already have in our responses. So when we allow ourselves to get away with thinking these thoughts, we set a precedent for our own behavior and what we think is acceptable, an acceptable way to treat ourselves. So by increasing your awareness of when and how you speak to yourself, like catch it, you'll be able to correct your thoughts and begin reforming patterns of understanding. So become aware of your negative thoughts. It's going to help you fight them or reverse them. So these thoughts can be hard to catch. Why? Because we've been doing them every day, for however many, years we've been, of a child, to now. So it becomes harder to catch them, and we're really accustomed to allowing them. We say them again and then we keep going. So if you'd like, start off by looking in the mirror and just pay attention to what you see and what you start to say to yourself. Where does your mind go? Are you having positive thoughts or are you having negative thoughts? Are you having encouraging thoughts or are you having doubts come up? So are you focused on the specific area of your face or on your body? And if so, start to ask yourself, where are those thoughts coming from? Start to try and peel them away. Also consider situations that might trigger you. What are the situations that might trigger negative feelings or thoughts? So, for some people, putting on a swimsuit, we're coming on to summertime. For some people, putting on a swimsuit might trigger a thought or a memory of something, whether it's, having had a child to whether it's comparing yourself to a different age at some point. Speaking in front of a group can trigger people. Approaching someone new in a networking group, that can trigger people. That triggers me. It's like, oh, what do I say? I'm not going to say something that's going to be witty enough. That's my thing. I'm not going to say something that'll be witty enough or interesting enough. There's things that can just kind of start to trigger you in specific settings and specific moments to try to catch what those self-talk moments are. Um, and take a moment to consider what triggers your negative thoughts. And if you'd like to share in this group, you can share that in the chat. I'd really like to take a moment to give yourself an opportunity to think about it because I think it's very useful to see when do you get triggered. Is it in a crowd? Is it before you're getting ready to present a new idea? Is it when you are getting ready to say something that may not be the common agreement of the group? When do you get triggered? And if you feel comfortable enough, please share that with us in the chat. And the thing is too, when you share about these things, you get authentic and real with them, sometimes people have the same experience as well. And it's helpful for people to see where everyone is at. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. So if the words you speak don't have any personal meaning to you, then it probably won't work. So when you are creating affirmations, remember to create affirmations that are based on your values and your beliefs. Now you can find affirmations out there in a book or on a blog post, and it's okay to borrow affirmations, but just remember that those affirmations really do resonate with you emotionally and that are aligned with you in terms of your values and your own personal truth. You also create affirmations that, like I said before, can assist you with fulfilling on a particular result. So I would say you have some goals-based affirmations and some ways of being based affirmations. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you're someone who's out to achieve a certain goal, a certain result, for example, I want to earn $100,000 this year, then that might be the goal, right? Or I want to earn $100,000 by, December 1st, 2021. Well, what's the affirmation that would support you in that? A way of being based affirmation might be, the confidence piece. So if you have, you aspire to be more confident in yourself or, to be a more dynamic speaker or something like that, then maybe that might be a more of a way of being style of goal that would have an affirmation tied to that. So a good rule of thumb, this is a strong guideline, is to begin your affirmations with I am. That keeps you grounded in the present. It makes it powerful. It's a powerful statement about yourself and who you are. So I am. You'll also want to have these other guidelines. You want to keep your affirmation in the present tense. So not creating something that was going to happen in the future. Like I will, eventually I will earn $100,000, right? It's like I am earning $100,000 from various sources, that sort of thing. You want to be as specific as possible when you're creating your affirmations. So instead of, I can't wait to own that new red car, it might be, I am joyfully driving my new red Audi Q4. So you're getting specific. And you want it to be brief. So creating an affirmation that is easy enough for you to say and remember, because this is going to be something that you will use often. Another guideline is to use at least one active word, typically a word ending in ing, like receiving, writing, enjoying. You also want to use a dynamic feeling word, such as excited, thrilled, joyfully, and energized. So if you need some inspiration, there are a lot of books out there that are about affirmations. You can flip through those books. There are videos on YouTube, or you can try different styles of apps. There's one called Think Up that will remind you can record your own affirmation into the app and play it back to yourself. So there's some different apps as well that will support you in uh, incorporating more affirmations into your life. Here are some other affirmation examples. I am feeling confident and sexy, strutting around at 120 pounds. So you can hear some of the active words, some of the feeling words. Also, and I just created this yesterday because I'm sending my child to school, and all of a sudden education expenses became really real for me. So I created a money affirmation. I am joyfully and gratefully receiving an abundance of money from a multitude of sources, providing me with $175,000 or more by December 2021. So I want to give you an opportunity now to create your own affirmation. You're going to use I am, start with I. But first thing what I'd like you to do first, actually, is to think of a goal that you might have. Or is there some other way of being that you are, practicing toward? Okay. So think of that first. And then I want you to take a moment to write an affirmation starting with I am, right? Being specific, being brief, keeping it in the present tense, using one active word and a dynamic feeling word. Okay. And so I'm going to give you a moment to work on that. I will give you 60 seconds to work on writing an affirmation. And then what I'd like to do is take some sharing on what affirmations you came up with. Does anyone have any questions while we do this?
Can you give us that list again?
Yes, I can. So the list on how to create your affirmations are: one, start with I am, be specific. So the red Q4 Audi versus red car, right? Be brief, like, in other words, you're not creating a 2-sentence affirmation, it's a 1-sentence affirmation or phrase. Keep it in the present tense. So it's something that you're experiencing, creating, happening now, even if it's a result that has not yet occurred, it's as if it's present and happening now. Using one active word, at least one active word. Usually it's a word ending in ing, like receiving, enjoying, and then a dynamic feeling word. So I am excitedly, I am joyfully, I am lovingly, something like that. And one of the examples I had was I am feeling confident and sexy, strutting around at 120 pounds. And then I am joyfully and gratefully receiving an abundance of money from a multitude of sources, providing me with $175,000 or more by December 2021. With the affirmation, I'll make another distinction here. With the affirmations, you don't necessarily have to put a date in. That is specific and it's okay to do that, but it's not as required as if you were creating a goal. With our goals, we definitely want to have an outcome, like a measure by when result, right? Okay. I see some of your sharing. Awesome. When I'm new in a group, I have something different to say. Sometimes we might have some feelings come up. Yes, yes. Stage fright when you're about to perform. Yes, these are some of the shares from the earlier question about when you have, negative thoughts or feelings come up. Oh, I love this. So now sharing from your affirmations, I see I am focusing on making a difference and being inspired. I love that. Beautiful. If anyone else wants to share their affirmation, love to hear that, and we can share it in the group. That'd be beautiful. And you can share it in the chat or speak it. That's fine too. And actually, I have a thing for speaking. So speaking it out. Certainly, when you have an affirmation, on your own, you have opportunity to speak your affirmation out loud. That just invigorates it. It energizes that affirmation a little bit further. So I see another one. I am excitedly enjoying my abundance of creativity. Yes, love it. And Valerie, I know you've been being very creative lately and have definitely, had that as your focus. Beautiful. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to share your affirmations in the chat. I love them. They're so inspiring. But I'm going to go ahead and continue with our material just so we can get through and we can have some more sharing after. Although I'm gonna sneak a peek real quick because I did see another affirmation come through. I am thrilled and excited because I earned the trip to France. Yes, I love it. Oh, I see another one come through. I am excited and grateful to help 11 families close escrows on their new homes every month starting in May 2021. Super powerful. I love this. This is really great. Yes. So this is great. You can see there's some different styles of affirmation and for different outcomes and different feelings. So that's exactly right. That's perfect. So I love this. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. I actually read this book to my son. So it is interesting. It's that repetitive phrase that we say to ourselves when we're at a challenge, right? The little train, the little caboose trying to make it, the little engine trying to make it up a hill, making it a challenge. And the little train, the little engine keeps saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Because when we repeat our phrases to ourselves, when we repeat our affirmations, they get to sink deeper and deeper into our subconscious mind and start to replace those negative default thoughts that we might have. So whether you take 5 minutes to repeat your affirmations each morning or to sprinkle them throughout the day, I definitely recommend at least sharing them to yourself or speaking them out loud to yourself, 2 to 3 times a day. Repetition is important. It's really an important part of starting to shift your thoughts and empower your thoughts, really. So spend more time focusing on your affirmations by integrating them into maybe a meditation practice, or if you don't have a meditation practice, into whatever other routines you might have in your life. For example, if you have a morning coffee, perhaps you want to sip your coffee and look at your affirmations, or you check your email, check your affirmations. Like start to incorporate them into your daily routine so that you don't miss them and they become more automatic for you. And then you will really start to train your brain to start to thinking about them more automatically and to take them seriously. Sometimes it can be odd, right? If it's a new affirmation or you're new to even creating affirmations, it could feel awkward to say them. You might feel like, oh my gosh, this is so silly. But the more you say them and the more you practice them, the more real and the more serious and the more impactful they can become. So if you're finding it difficult to remember to practice your affirmations, again, find maybe there's some creative ways you can, integrate them into your life. Putting them on your phone or popping it onto your computer, or, just little creative ways that you might put on a post-it note, to just in as a bookmarker or in your journal or in your, if you still keep a paper calendar, maybe posting them there so that you just, again, are keep seeing them throughout your day and at random times of the day. But if you know that you have them posted, you will see it. So what time of the day for you would be the best time for you to practice your affirmations? Think about it now and think of, where could you practice them? And when could you practice them? And go ahead and share that with the group right now so that we all get an idea of, like, how people will start to incorporate their affirmations into their life. So I just wanted to maybe end with this, is that, again, you can have affirmations for many areas of your life, several areas of your life. And you might also want to think of maybe 2 or 3 at any time that you want to work with. I mean, you can do as many as you like, frankly, but if you're trying to really change a way of thinking or a way of being, you might want to focus on 2 or 3 at a time and make that part of your regular practice until you feel like you've got, more what I would say, finesse with it. And it's starting to take, and it's starting to be more of a way of being for you. So I do have some resources. I'm always happy to share resources that were used in creating this webinar today. I'm happy to send those out. I can just go ahead and do that with a follow-up email. And if you are watching this on the replay, if you'd like to email me as well or drop a comment, then I can also send the resources to you. No problem there. And just lastly, I just want to say thank you all for being here today, taking time out of your day to create some affirmations, learn a little bit more about affirmations. And I love doing this, and I love hearing from everyone. So if there's anything you'd like to share about the affirmations and what you got out of creating affirmations, I'd love to hear that, and how, again, you will use affirmations in your life. That would be really awesome. I'm also going to drop down a way to sign up for future webinars, because, again, these happen every third Tuesday of the month. But I want to give you an opportunity to have the link to participate so you can find out when the next one will be. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to take us off webinar mode.